Morning, everybody. It's Ace of Trades. It's Monday, April 13th, and the Bible says in the book of Proverbs 13 and Proverbs 13, verse 22, it says, "A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just." In most cases, um, today, people are just living on paycheck to paycheck, borrowing and making payments on everything. But if you're prudent with your money and you approach it as a saver and only buy things when you can afford it, I don't think that in too many instances it's difficult to live within your means if you're not covetous and want a bunch of things that you can't afford. So on the chart today, um, basically I don't have any kind of inkling for a trade right now. You've got this leg up, kind of break sideways and push up for a second leg. Doesn't quite make a measured move. Push back down, pushing back up. My guess is that perhaps prices are trying to get up to fill this gap that was left from when prices opened last night. They were closed up here on Friday around 5, and then last night they opened way down here. So you have this gap. So prices typically try to fill gaps like that. They're left on the chart that have not been traded in between during a regular market session. So I just put the gap up here because this is about the lowest point um, that prices had traded during the regular session. So I'd be looking for potentially, you want to watch for prices to come up here and fill this gap, and anything can happen after that. They could just plummet back down then. Maybe this is where prices want to go, but first, once they get this gap, may try to be filled. Who knows? This looks like another trend right now going up. Not too picky about these trend lines. Some people are super picky about these. They'll draw stuff like this, and then they'll draw it like that, and they'll say close outside, do high. But if you haven't had a real true break on something, it's kind of looks like it just keeps going up, and you can kind of draw it to fit. And that's really about what trends are. It's does the thing fit? You don't want to keep adjusting it, because then you might be fooling yourself. But I don't really see any kind of break here. Um, but if it would, let's say it is a break in a new high, and let's say it just reverses. Well, there's nothing I'm looking for to trade anyway, so I wouldn't be trapped. So, but this all kind of looks like one trend to me. Um, anyway, be back in a little while when I have some other structures maybe we can work with. All right, so here you basically have two legs down. I'm gonna skip this just because I'll bring it over here. This looks kind of weird to me. Um, just the way it corrected. I'm just not comfortable with it. But here's your two legs, one leg down, two legs down. So if I would call this aggressive, but if you're gonna take that, that's where you'd want to take the trade. But I skipped it. So just because of how it just looks strange to me. Something I can't quite explain. Maybe you have a you can see there's potentially a trend working down. I mean, you are breaking out of this overnight high, so it's just a little competing for me. I mean, you have this trend up, but the correction is so spread out, it just looks strange to me. So I just decided to skip it. I mean, there is potentially a trend working down there against you, and you're right into the EMA. But this is the two legs here. So let's see. I'd have gone for 2 points to be pushing it right now. But I call it aggressive. It's more aggressive than I care for just because of the legs look weird to me. But there are two legs there. And that's what people need to be able to see that are trying to trade this style of price action. You need to be able to see the legs, and usually the colors give you the separation in the legs. So I'll use the terminology other people are using because it seems to be common. Entries. Okay, let me zoom in here. Okay, so you need to be able to see the separation in the legs. This is not first entry, second entry. These are not, that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for legs. This is, you can clearly see all these red bars, one leg. These two big green bars pushing up or separating that, and now you get this second measured leg down. So this is what, if I was going to take a trade, I'd be taking it right here on the end of this second leg. Okay, these are not, you have to get out of the mindset of seeing these little things as entries. I think that's what's killing a lot of people is you're seeing technical little entries on a 2000 tick chart. You're not actually trading the legs. You want to be trading the legs. So I'll just, you'll probably hear me say that over and over again. That's um, one of the main things I think people are struggling with is they're looking at this as like, if this was a nice green bar here, there'd be people going long here because of this first little tick, first entry, second entry. That's not what you want to be looking for. You want to be looking for the legs and the separation, clear separation that you can see in the legs. So anyway, just wanted to pop on a comment on that. All right, so we can see here we got this. Um, so here's your uptrend. Here's your break. Takes an odd path on the correction, but there's your new high into the gap area, and now we're reversing off it. You would have been looking for potentially like a lower high off this, but you just get this big red bar smashing down, and now it looks like we're trying to reverse. So if we get a nice trend down here, um, you could be looking for a short because everything is all played out to the upside. This trend is all played out. This gap has been filled, and so from a probability standpoint, you would be looking for prices to head back down now, and maybe you can catch a short on a correction. Okay, so we didn't reverse here. We started to, and then we just bounced higher. So that's okay. Just because it doesn't do what you might expect from a probability standpoint, you just continue to follow the price action. Maybe this is heading up to try to hit this measured move up here. You know, when things don't kind of follow the typical price action, you just sit back and wait and um, wait for things to reset and just reassess the market structure. So just waiting this. So this uptrend has a break new high. This leg up now has a break and a new high. So I still would not be, I'm not thinking long here because these structures are played out to the upside. So even if I get a setup like off here, I'm probably not going to take it because the expectation is that price will go the other way still. So that's just my thoughts on that. Okay, so now we got one leg down, we got a second leg down into a measured move, and so I wouldn't be shorting anymore because this move down is played out unless you would get some sort of like off this somewhere. If this just dumped right down, okay, then we're okay looking at shorts now because this is you know starting to fail to the upside. If you got some clean structure, if this pushed up real nice, got some clean structure with a couple legs of correction, be okay going long now because we've played out here to the downside, at least temporarily. So, but you need to make sure you're getting clean price action. Okay, pushing back down now. So anyway, we just keep watching. So it looks like it's pushing down now. So I'm not going to just sit here and talk over all the bars. But that's what I saw in the moment was that this had played out to the downside. So anyway, just gotta keep watching and look for clean structures to trade. All right, so I'm not so sure about this whole structure right here. This this could be like a push up, sideways break, push to new high. So you're also pushing up into new highs here. This all looks very sideways now. You see how we're kind of into like a double top area. This all looks very sideways. Maybe you're getting a range here. So I would not be looking to take a long off this. Um, I'll just let that go. If it works, it works, but I don't really care for it. This whole area now here kind of looks rangy to me. All right, so we get see off this a little bit. You can see off this move here. Well, actually got this a little bit. Should probably be there. Okay, but we push up through this measured move level, and then at this point with what is it, 2, 4, at least 5 points to the EMA, looking for a low or a high off here. Don't get it, so we'll see what happens now. This price action is kind of difficult to follow for finding any entries, so we just continue to watch the price action and just wait and see if we get some clear visual structures that we can identify. And so we don't want to draw any kind of goofy, weird trends, and like see people doing stuff like this, you know, trying to call the trend here or something. Start doing strange things just because they're tired of not being able to find something. So you don't want to imagine some structure that's not really there. You want to just let price continue to move and work and be able to until you can see something clear and clean. So looks like right now it's still resisting but pushing down. So um, I don't see anything to do right now. Just continue to wait. All right, just talk about this here. So we get this push down. You get a break. You get a new low. Some people will get trapped trying to go long here because they're just looking at a pattern. First attempt, second attempt, but the context is it's against you. All this stuff is continuously playing out to the upside. Um, and then I won't try to get cute on this. They'll call this a failed second entry long. So I'm not going to try that because also this move down is played out with a new low. So, you could just get trapped here thinking you're going to take a failed second entry long, and this thing could just tick lower and push higher because this little move down here has played out. You have this little trend, break, new low. So I stay away from those things. I don't really care for those. All right, so we have two legs down here now. This looks like this may be forming a trend, but I need to see more price action. It's also difficult to find a trade in here too because the bars are nearly as big as the little trend itself. So to find two legs in here will be difficult. Um, and look, I'm going to show you guys some stuff, and people are going to get upset with me, I'm sure. But I just want to show you the fallacy in some of these things that you're watching on other channels. Now, somebody might mark this as this failed second entry, but the context isn't great because you have a downtrend. Here's your break. You have a new low. So you have to be careful that with this played out, this isn't going to go back up against you. Now, I can always come back in here after the fact and say, I like going short right there because I see that it won. But, you also see things where you have this downtrend break or, downtrend close outside new low. And if this rips higher, you can say, I like going long right there, after you see that it wins. But then when it doesn't win, you can say something like, well, you're underneath the EMA there. There's always a reason. I can always come up with a reason why something didn't work. But I need to find trades that are consistent, that are repeatable, that I can rely on. So I can't do that with stuff like this. Here also I could say, okay, here's a new low, first entry, this broke higher. I like going short right there on that low or high. I can say that, but you're shorting inside all this price action here. And with this kind of whipping around back and forth, you really don't know what this is going to do. I can always come back in here after the fact and mark stuff. after I see that it wins, and it seems very obvious after the fact that you would want to take a short there, after you see it goes down a couple points. But you have to be able to do it in real time. And so if someone could do that in real time and they could put 15, 25 trades on a chart in real time for 5, 6 days in a row, then I'll change my opinion and position on that. But until that happens, um, you have to follow the context and stay out of bad contextual trades. Um, that's one of the main things people struggle with is they'll try to do this stuff in real time when they see it done on a static chart, and it'll fail on them because they're not great trades in reality. So now we've got one leg down, two legs down here. So with these two bigger legs down, I'm probably not thinking short right now because you've got basically two measured legs down, and this could start pushing higher now. Um, some people may not see that. They may just see this downtrend and a break and looking for a new low, but this is the second leg down for this leg. So I'm staying out of any shorts right now. That's it for now. Just a little sidebar on that, um, whatever you want to call it, soapbox or whatever. All right, this whole thing in here still looks very rangy to me. So just seeing if we can find better structure outside of all this mess. Hopefully, maybe we get some sort of, push down now. Sometimes you get these two measured legs up, and it just takes a while for that distribution phase to play out before, you start getting the push down. Um, or maybe this ends up being some sort of range here. If we can hold like another time off here or something, then maybe we can play this as a range. But yeah, I just don't see anything good here right now. Um, okay, so finally we start breaking out of this sideways sort of range here, and we don't get real good touches off the top, but you can see how we keep following this and bouncing off this trend line here. So I'm not real excited about taking that as a lower high. It's kind of inside all of this price action here, and you're kind of shorting into this trend line that keeps holding. So I don't really care for that for those two reasons. But if we can continue holding here and keep going up, maybe we can then kind of um, recapture, this side of the trend channel. And maybe even if it doesn't, if it gets to there, if we hold that, maybe this is just kind of a poke out early, and so it could just be like a wick on a higher time frame. This may be the upper side of the channel, but we'll see if this channel can continue to hold or not. Um, but that's what I see right now. We got an uptrend here. Maybe you get a nice two-legged break of it to take a long. So that's what I'm following right now. Okay, so I want to talk about this again. I'm not thinking about long here because this got real sideways. Um, but just want to show you again. Okay, I consider this whole thing one leg down. And if we had launched up here, maybe printed two or three green bars, that would be the first attempt to go higher. Um, so you can see, I'm sure there are a lot of people that got trapped going because they see a first entry, they see a second entry. And so there's a lot of people that went long, I'm sure, right here off a break of this uptrend, thinking they're gonna get long here, and get their 4 tick scalp or whatever. But yeah, it's just one leg down. You have to see that as a one whole leg down. And then as soon as this starts going sideways, as soon as this fails, prints down, prints this, I'm not even thinking about going long here. This is just I would still expect this trend to retest. It's just taking a strange path of correction. So because there's nothing clear here, because we don't get a clean two legs, I'm just staying I'm just staying out. There's just nothing to do here. So that's one of the things you have to get past is these little tick entries and counting those as as attempts for pushing to a new high. Here's the thing, and I'll say it over and over again. The whole idea behind these so-called second entries are two legs of correction, not tiny little ticks higher. So that's the whole idea. And then you're looking for two clean legs that we can visually identify and take action on. And so if you don't get that, you just stay out of the trade. There's nothing to do. So I'm just sitting tight right now. This looks like maybe this is a thin two legs down. Like here's one, here's two. So this could still retest the high here. So, but there's really no place to get in on it. So there's nothing you can do. Okay, so here, here we see, I'm not excited about this lower high, and I'll talk about that. Um, so here we got this uptrend, and you have two legs down. They're kind of thin, but you can see them. Here's where the second leg launches down. And often, like I showed you in my trade Friday, when you get a nice trend and you get two clear legs of correction, this is often the center of a pattern, and you will, I'm not sure what the probability is, but you will often get a second equal or nearly equal leg up off that correction. So I'm not really looking to go short here because I'm concerned about that happening. So I don't want to short into the potential of this trend making a new high. I'm not making a new high, but continuing to push up for that second leg. Um, it's kind of weak to this correction, this lower high. You can see how you're starting to get a lot of bars here going sideways. So, but that's what I'm talking about when you've got to be able to look for the legs and identify the legs of correction, and they'll come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Sometimes it's real nice and clean. You'll get a push up and another push down, and sometimes you just have to be able to see where the measurements are. So you can see how we get one push down, it goes real sideways, and then it dumps down again. So at that point, when it starts dumping down again, that's when I'm looking for the second leg. So I'll copy this and paste it here. And then, but there's nowhere to get in here. If this bar here, excuse me, here had finished nice, then I would say that's a decent place to try for a trade. You have some room here to this EMA if prices were going to sort of form some sort of shallower downtrend. You have some room, but this is kind of a doji. Not excited about entering on that. But so I hope that you're learning some things by watching this channel. Some of these things that you're not seeing from other channels that are just kind of looking at to the ticks, and if this thing here pushes up for a win, then they'll mark that as a second entry, and if it doesn't, well, there will be some reason why you would want to stay out of that. It's all in hindsight, it's all after the fact, and you'll just drive yourself crazy trying to figure it out because you never will, because there's always an answer depending on what happens from this point. So anyway, well, let's see. It looks like we're trying to push up and do something towards this measured move up now. So just keep watching it. All right, so I think last time we were talking, we pushed up here to this new high. Um, and I put the measured move on here. After that, I mean, you just really want to be careful going long. I don't even see any entries here. Some people might try to take that higher low, but again, anytime your trend has broken and made a new high, your risk of taking longs increases because this is technically played out. It may keep going higher. It may, in a roundabout way, push up to this measured move, but you never know when it's going to flip around on you because it is technically played out. Um, so anytime you decide to continue along with the previous trend, I think your probability of getting a successful trade is lower than when you take it, you know, on the break expecting a new high. So, yeah, there's nothing going on here. It's just a bunch of chop as this tries to push higher. Now it's getting sideways. So I'm just sitting here waiting for price action to kind of play out and reestablish itself. All right, so here you got this pushed up. basically made a double top here. You got this decent looking trend down, but unfortunately this kind of looks like a range now. And so you also have this short-term trend. I'm not saying this won't come down and retest. There is one thin leg, two thin legs. They're probably almost even measured, but I'm not going to take that given, the what I'm seeing here from a range standpoint. So I would just skip that thing given how thin it is and context, and it's we're just kind of bullish today. So you just really need a very good push down to take a short off of two legs. That's just not very good given how prices behave today and how you're up above the EMA and you clearly have this trend blocking you. So yeah, I'll skip that. Okay, the last update I was talking about, I didn't like this for a short here, and you can see it was trapped by that trend line. Unfortunately, if you took that, you would have got trapped out of it. And then we did pushed up here. I would not be looking for anything long in here because of this double top. So you're essentially going along right into resistance. And then once this started pushing up here, I had one leg here, second leg here, looking for possibly a lower high to come off a measured move because you would expect that prices would come back down and test this former resistance area. Didn't do that, just pushed up into a trend which has this real kind of short sideways break, push to a new high. I would not be looking to short there just because you've got two big measured moves up, and this just keeps pushing higher and pushing higher. So I just think that's way too aggressive to try to short that right there. Um, yeah, so we're just looking for see what's going to happen next. Maybe this will finally push down after this is played out. Maybe this will hold here and push up to this measured move level. Depending on how it gets there, that might be an area where you're looking for like a lower high. But yeah, the way price action's moving here, it's after 3 o'clock. I may just end up coming back for the post market if I don't end up getting any trades. Okay, guys, I think I'm gonna just knock off a little bit early here. It's about 20 minutes till the close. Um, we got up into these measured move areas. Then I drew this. I found that fitting, but I didn't really draw this until this all started pushing up. So, and then I just pasted up here. So it doesn't fit off the original swing there. And then you get an overshoot. So it's not a great trend line. Would not be surprised if on another video you saw somebody say first entry, second entry, right off, and then call this a key entry point, confirming the trend line. But it's not great. I mean, I've shown you many, many times how wider trends um, can be deceiving. I've shown you how you can also see this is played out with a new high, so you have to be very careful about continuing on just taking another long there. And also this doesn't look like two legs to me. It looks like one leg down, a little tick higher, and then one more very ugly bar here. So yeah, I don't like that at all. That's not anything. You want to look for two legs. I showed you earlier in the video how um, that probably traps somebody. Something like this probably traps somebody because they're counting very small to the tick entries here. And so, yeah, I don't see that as a good trade at all. But yeah, market just keeps it's just very bullish today. It just keeps resisting any attempts to push lower. You have a lot of tiny bars now. The ATR is pretty small, um, and it's hard to find the end of corrections. Um, and with the volume being down here in the afternoon, I mean, you can see since 1 o'clock we've gone from here to here since 1 o'clock, and it's pretty much just gone sideways, not really giving you anything at all.
that you would want to take as a trade. So you got to be very, very careful about shorting any lower highs and all that stuff because it just wants to keep going higher. Um, so yeah, I don't think I would take a lower high here because you're getting real close to the EMA, and you know this is only 2 points of room. So yeah, that's about it for today. Just I didn't find really anything at all that I liked throughout the day. The only area where considering something, this would have been a decent trade here if this would have finished better. If this would have closed on this bar would have closed on its high. You have this uptrend with a two-legged break. That's probably a good trade. Would be a good trade there then. But this bar is just not good enough to go long on. I mean, you're looking for your two legs, but then you want a nice signal that tells you yes, this is the end of the two legs, and we could. There's a good chance we're going to start going higher now, and you just don't get that there. So that's about it for today. I'll be back again tomorrow. I'll see you then.